Wow, Manchester City 5, Southampton 2. Shaka Hislop joining me now for ESPN FC. For a period there after the 55th minute, Shaka, you couldn't take your eyes off the TV, just goals coming in on both sides of the pitch. But which player stood out for you the most today for City?
I think the player that stood out most was Riyad Mahrez. His involvement, especially in the early goals, how good he is with the ball at his feet. His finishing looks as good as it ever has. And in a team of standouts from back to front, I thought Riyad Mahrez was the one who shone brightest today against a Southampton team who have been struggling otherwise. But you're looking for City to bounce back, and they did that well.
They obviously did bounce back after the loss to United, but it is two back-to-back games where they've conceded 2 goals. And it's so stupid to bring it up, it seems, after they've won 5-2. But the reason I do is because the last time they conceded more than 2 goals was way back in that Leicester loss in September. Is that their version of a blip?
I think it's their version of a first half blip. And I think you saw that from Pep Guardiola and some of his reactions during the second half. Now, we spoke about the Manchester United loss, and you want to see how they respond. And in all honesty, as I said, against the Southampton who are struggling, it was almost a foregone conclusion. The challenge to that is, it's okay for me to sit here and say that. It's a totally different thing for the City players to do that and to show that out on the field. And I thought that's what you saw in the first half. As much as City took the lead, understandably, I just thought that it never really looked like they got out of dare I say, first or even second gear. And then you saw the reaction in the second half. You saw Pep Guardiola be more animated during a lot of that second half. And I think you saw a better City performance. Now, oftentimes when a good run comes to an end, as City was on, and then what happened against Manchester United, you want to see how the team responds. They have Southampton and Fulham on any day. You would expect City to make very easy work of those two. And then the second leg against Mönchengladbach in the Champions League. But that kind of form, the kind of form that saw them go on that winning, on that record-breaking run, is not something you just switch on and off. It's not something that you take to the field and take the opposition for granted. And I just feel that City were a little bit guilty of that in the first half. And maybe that's reflected in the fact that they conceded 2 goals. More to the point, I think that was reflected in how Guardiola, how his halftime team talk, I'm sure, would have been structured. And you saw his post-break reactions.
The goals can come from all over the pitch. We've seen defenders scoring in recent weeks, midfielders obviously today. Let me just talk you through a few names that were on the bench. You had Ferran Torres, Rodri, John Stones, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero, João Cancelo. This is definitely going to serve them well going forward, especially in the competitions they're in, Shaka.
It absolutely is. And listen, again, we can sit here and say the league is all wrapped up for Manchester City. And we've known that the Champions League has been their holy grail for a few years now. So they can make changes, sometimes wholesale changes in the league, and still expect a certain level of performance, still expect to win. And then have that focus, or somehow sharpen their focus for the Champions League, what is to come. And we expect them to get through against Mönchengladbach. We see what the draw has to offer going forward from there. And I think that's where you'll see Pep Guardiola really start to think through his rotations, who plays, when they play, all with a focus on what's to come in the Champions League. Whether he decides to go with whatever he feels is his best 11, or we see him tinker, as he did last season, with that Champions League starting level, with their formations and personnel. So we'll see a lot more of City and Pep Guardiola's approach. But for right now, it's great to have this depth of squad, and it's every manager's nightmare, but also every manager's dream to have this much talent at their disposal.
Yeah, nice headache to have. Now, lastly, it doesn't matter because of what the score was in the end, but you know it's going to be talked about, especially with all eyes on VAR at the moment. That Phil Foden no penalty, should he have gone down? And if he had, do you think that maybe it would have changed opinion for the ref?
I'm with Phil Foden here. I think we in the media and football loving public, we shouldn't have to expect a player to stay down to get a penalty. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty, and the referee should call it, and especially with VAR. And you know how you can call incidents back a long time after. Before VAR, you kind of had the feeling that if it wasn't called within 10 or 15 seconds, then, you know, it's gone, and the referee isn't going to call it back, and he isn't going to think it over. But we've seen in this age of VAR, referees call things back, you know, a couple of minutes after the fact. We've seen incidents called back after the final whistle is already gone. So Phil Foden shouldn't have to stay down. That's not his responsibility. The responsibility is on the referee to make the right call. And I support Phil Foden for getting back up, trying to finish the play. But I think it's on the referee to make the right call. It shouldn't be on Foden to sell it.
Yeah, Manchester City bouncing back from their loss to United by putting 5 goals past Southampton.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.